Hi there. Welcome in. It's the Division III Women's Basketball Selection Show here in our NJCAA Network studio. I'm Phil Constantino. In just moments, we're going to reveal the bracket of 12 teams that will compete for the national championship March 15th through 18th in Rochester, Minnesota. This bracket is comprised of 12 total teams. 9 of them are automatic qualifiers as district champions. 3 are at-large selections. This is the second year of this format with at-large bids on the women's side here in Division III. The top 4 seeds will get a first-round bye. First-round games, March 15th. Championship, March 18th, 5 p.m. Central Time. All these games at the Rochester Regional Sports Center. Again, Rochester, Minnesota. And all of these games you can watch on the NJCAA network, including consolation games. For teams who don't get that first round bye, it'll mean 4 games in 4 days. The number 1 overall seed is Owens. Owens is the defending national champion. They were the number 1 overall seed last year. So the second year in a row that they sit atop this bracket, and they mostly played against Division II competition all year. 17-5 versus D2. Great Lakes District champs. 3rd appearance in Division III for Owens, and they're 11th overall. They had 8 of them in Division II. Every year that they've been in the D3 tournament, they have at least reached the title game. So Owens, the reigning champs, is the number 1 seed in this tournament. They have a first-round bye. The number 2 seed, Fulton Montgomery. The Raiders, 21-0. But they played an entirely D3 schedule. Maybe we'll get some answers on this 1 and 2 seeding later on in the show when we talk to the committee chair. They won the North District. It's their 3rd appearance in this tournament. Their first since 2004. It's been 19 years. Head coach Kevin Jones is the only head coach in the history of this program, and he's got them back for the first time in nearly 2 decades in the tournament with an unbeaten record. The number 3 seed is our first of 3 at-large selections, Rochester. They'll play in this tournament, the hometown team, the Yellow Jackets. North Plains A runners-up. They were 24-0 before taking a loss in the title game to Riverland. They finished the year 24-1. They were number 1 in the second-to-last poll of the year before the loss. They could really score it. 91 points per game, the number 1 offense in the country by 6 points per. And Maya Ruzek, she's the star that makes it go. 23 points per game, the 3rd leading scorer in the nation. In at-large selection, Rochester is the number 3 seed. The number 4 seed, the final of the 4 to get a first-round bye. Monroe Bronx. They are champions of the Northeast District. 24-7 their final record. They beat perennial power Hostos 74-56 to get here. It's their 2nd appearance in a row after breaking through and reaching the national tournament for the first time last year. Monroe Bronx is the number 4 seed. So here are the top 4 teams that have the first round byes. Owens, number 1 overall again. Fulton Montgomery, number 2. Rochester, number 3. And Monroe Bronx, number 4. Let's fill in the rest of this 12-team bracket. The number 8 seed is Prince George's. Mid-Atlantic champions. 2nd straight tournament appearance. 3rd total in Division III. They suffered through 4 straight losses in January, but have rebounded to win 5 of their last 7 and win the district. Prince George's, the number 8 seed. The number 9 seed, Anoka Ramsey. The Golden Rams, North Plains B champions. 20-9 their record. They beat Minnesota West 59-58 in the championship game. Anoka Ramsey was pretty solidly a bubble team that secured their spot with that district title. They were number 12 in the final poll. They were unranked at the time of the district title. So that firmly, obviously, put them in the tournament when otherwise it was questionable. Prince George's and Anoka Ramsey will meet in the first round. The number 5 seed is our second at-large selection, Minnesota West, the team that Anoka Ramsey bid stole from. Minnesota West, 27-4 this year. They do have a 123-48 win on their schedule, if that means anything to you. And they have scored 100-plus points 5 times this year. They are the number 2 scoring offense in the country, just shy of 86 points per game. The Lady Jays can really get up and down the floor. The number 12 seed is Northampton, the lowest seed in this tournament, 20-6 overall this year. They do come in to this event having won 10 consecutive games. North Atlantic District champions, first national tournament appearance since 2012, 11 years ago, the last time that Northampton was in the national tournament. To the other side, Riverland is the number 7 seed. The Blue Devils are North Plains A champs, 21-5 their overall record, and head coach Andrew Kaiser in his 3rd season has Riverland in the national tournament for the very first time. And in the first round, they will face the number 10 seed, Dallas Mountain View, South Central District champions, 12-7 on the year. Keep an eye on Devin Sherrod, 22 points per game, the 4th leading scorer in the nation in D3 two-year ball. 7-10 first-round matchup is Riverland and Dallas Mountain View. The 6-11 matchup, Rhode Island, the number 6. East District champs, 21-6 overall. Their 2nd overall appearance, and yes, their 2nd in a row for the Community College of Rhode Island. The final seed to announce in this bracket is our 3rd and final at-large selection. Onondaga is in. They lost to Fulton Montgomery in the North District Championship game. They finished the year 16-8 overall. They were ranked 10th in the final poll, and the committee has selected Onondaga. 7th appearance. They were in it last year as well. Onondaga is the last team in, the 11 seed and the 3rd and final at-large. Here is the full tournament bracket. You see the dates, you see the start times. March 15th, it all gets started. March 18th, we'll crown a champion on the NJCAA network. Owens, the number 1 seed. Fulton Montgomery, number 2. Rochester, number 3. Monroe Bronx, number 4. Those 4 have first-round byes. For them, it's only 3 wins in 3 days. For everyone else, you'll need 4 wins in 4 days to claim the title. And the at-larges, Minnesota West, Rochester, and Onondaga. That is the full tournament bracket D3 women's basketball here in the NJCAA. Coming up next, we will hear the thoughts of Stephen Perry. He joins us on the show for his 2nd consecutive year as the head coach of Owens, the number 1 overall seed in the tournament for the 2nd consecutive year. That's coming up next. It's a D3 selection show on the NJCAA network.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
I have a little birthday message for you from someone too.
I heard you really love basketball. You're a good shooter and a good dribbler. Happy birthday, MJ, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you. You're welcome.
We are now joined here on the selection show by the head coach of the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, Owens, and the head coach of that team, Stephen Perry. Stephen, thanks for being with us again. Congratulations. Number 1 overall seed once again. How does that feel?
I mean, it feels great. I mean, this season has been exciting. It's been challenging, but like I said, we're glad to be in the position we are.
So you haven't been the number one team all year long. So what's that like? Getting back here.
Well, we started, we started off the season. I think the first couple polls we were number one, and then kind of in early November, I think we had a little identity crisis as a team, and we were just trying to figure out our roles and our expectations. And I think we lost like 3 out of 4 basketball games at that time, and then kind of regrouped ourselves. And ever since then, we went on a run. I think we're 17-2 ever since that little blip we had at the early part of the season. So we're definitely ending and trending in the right direction.
Best basketball you're playing all year, or what?
Yeah, I think so, and I think there is some room for improvement, but we're definitely trending in the right direction. I mean, we talked about that. We wanted to make sure, that we started peaking in March and, not in, November, December. So
You won the national title last year. You were the number 1 overall seed last year. It seems like you found the recipe for success to peak at the right time. You feel any pressure knowing that you're such a prohibitive favorite?
No, not really. I think our kids have been pretty grounded. Us as coaches have been, pretty grounded. All season, I think our number 1 goal, believe it or not, was to win our conference. I mean, we were the only Division III team that participated in the OCCAC. So we kind of had a goal of winning our conference. So I think that kind of kept us grounded. It kept us from, kind of looking forward. And, it was a grind. I mean, 22 of our 24 games we played were against D2 opponents. So, it has been a grind. It's kept us grounded. I told our team, I said, I'm not sure how many wins we're going to have, at the end of the year, but I think, the schedule that we're playing is going to get us ready for this time of year.
I was alarmed when I read this. Is this true? You only played 2 games versus D3s.
That is correct.
So
yeah.
you only 2 games versus like competition.
Correct. And one of them was the district championship. And then we had another team from Region 4 came to our place back in December. So, yeah, so we've only played 2 out of our 24 games.
How do you plan a schedule?
Well, I mean, that was by design. I mean, I know, coming off winning a national championship last year, we wanted to make sure that we were focused and, try not to look ahead. So when I was putting the schedule together, I'm like, we're really going to challenge ourselves. We're not going to, we're going to try to schedule the best teams in our area. I mean, we played 5 games against ranked Division II opponents. We had another one scheduled, but it got canceled because of weather. But, we kind of put this in front of them, I guess, to keep them grounded and keep them focused and, having to look one game at a time instead of, looking ahead towards the tournament.
Let's talk personnel. Haley St. John, 13 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game. What makes her so good?
Well, I mean, she can get to the basket. She's long. She can run the floor, and she really is a underrated defender. And I think, her experience from last year's team, she was one of the starters that are returning. So she's a big part of our success.
Mallory Schrader, averaging nearly a double-double. That's not easy at any level of basketball. 10.7 points, 9.2 rebounds per game. What about her stands out?
I mean, Mallory's done everything, that we asked. I mean, she kind of had her coming out party last year in the national championship game. I mean, she was coming in probably our 6th or 7th player. And, we were kind of struggling looking for some offense in last year's championship game. She comes out and goes on a personal 9-0 run to get us a lead and, and to help us secure that win. So I think she's really taken that momentum into this year, worked awfully hard over the summer, and was National Player of the Week, has been the Conference Player of the Week a couple times this year. So yeah, she's done everything we've asked her to do and more.
16 years now with the program at Owens, 4 years as the head coach. As you've watched this grow into back-to-back number one overall seeds. Put it all in perspective for us. What has it been like?
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, when I first started as the assistant, we were just trying to try to be competitive, and then we really kind of started honing in on our recruiting and the types of players we were bringing in, and it's just kind of been a slow building process, and kind of to see where we're at now and looking back from when I first started, it's crazy. So I think our whole athletic program, the success of our volleyball team as well. I mean, it's really kind of it's been exciting, to be part of the the Owens athletic department. We're just trying to hold up our end of the deal.
Well, what's it going to take to go back to back? It seems like experience is in your favor here.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be experience. I mean, our kids, understand what this week is like, so they know, what's expected of them, so they can really kind of help our freshmen along. But I think, that's going to be the key. And for us, it's going to be rebounding. We have to be able to keep teams off the boards. I would say maybe that's our Achilles heel this year. But I think if we do that, I really like this team, so I think we have a good shot.
Stephen Perry, he is the head coach of the number one overall seed in the tournament, Owens. Stephen, all the best of luck. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Here on the Selection Show, let's get some answers to the committee's decisions. When we come back from break, we're going to speak with Justin Hoyt. He is the chairman of the D3 Women's Basketball Selection Committee in his first year on the assignment. We'll find out why Owens number one and Fulton Montgomery number two. We're going to find out why those three at-large selections got into the field. All of that is next here on the D3 Women's Basketball Selection Show.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Great seats at a great price. Get them safer, simpler, and smarter with Ticket Smarter. A proud partner to the biggest names in live sports and events, including ESPN events and iHeartRadio. Ticket Smarter has seats for over 125,000 live events and 48 million tickets for sale. All backed with the Ticket Smarter 100% ticket guarantee. Thinking about your next great live event? Think smarter. Think Ticket Smarter. Get your tickets your way, guaranteed, at Ticketsmarter.com.
Justin Hoyt is now with us. He is the chair of the selection committee for D3 women's basketball. Justin, welcome. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm interested in learning from your perspective. Every committee, every year is a little bit different. This is your first year as the chair of the women's basketball committee. I'm interested in understanding, what did you guys value? What is the most important thing on a team's resume as you came up with this seating and selected at-larges?
I think the most important aspect of this was consistency throughout the year, quality wins, how they stacked up against common opponents. We looked at how many wins they had against opponents that were ranked throughout the year. I think our committee did a tremendous job in our weekly polls. I believe 9 of the qualifiers were ranked in our top 15. Final poll, and then the 3 at-larges were in our top 10. So I think our committee overall did a tremendous job, and my hat goes off to everybody on the committee for their commitment throughout the year in getting it right.
Let's start at the top. Owens, 19-5, but they only played 2 games versus like Division III opponents. Fulton Montgomery, 21-0. Owens was selected number 1. Fulton Montgomery placed number 2 by your committee. Why Owens #1 and not Fulton Montgomery, although Fulton Montgomery has the unbeaten record?
Yep, that's a great question. Owens was ranked in the top 2 throughout the whole year. They're the defending national champs. They went 17-5 against Division II opponents. They went 2-0 against Division III. Fulton had a tremendous year, going undefeated. They played 20. They went 21-0 against Division III opponents. Unfortunately, they didn't get to play any Division I or II schools. But they really did a tremendous job. They took care of Onondaga 3 times convincingly in the championship game. Jefferson, North Country 3 times, and I think they're well deserved at #2.
So it's safe to say that playing the tougher schedule but taking a few losses is higher valued by the committee than maybe playing an easier schedule but going unbeaten. Is that fair?
To an extent, yeah. It's hard to judge because some of the schools in the region, in different regions, don't have the opportunity to play all Division III schools, where Fulton Montgomery in Region 3, we have 21 schools in our region, so there's more opportunities to play those schools. And then there's regions where there's only a handful of Division IIIs, and they have to play Division I or Division II schools. But I think what separated Owens from Fulton Montgomery would be the fact that they are the defending champions. They had a strong record against Division II schools, going 17-5. So that's really ultimately what came down to that decision.
That's kind of the nature of the beast at the Division III level, not as much national travel. Given that, what was the hardest seeding debate as far as positioning these 12 teams? Which one drew the most consistent debate among members of the committee?
That's a great question. Just in terms of seeding or selecting that large, or
just overall seeding first?
Overall seeding, yeah, that would be trying to figure out where we were going to slot Riverland. Being in the Minnesota schools, we had Rochester and then Minnesota West, and then Riverland and Anoka, and trying to figure out where we were going to put Riverland so that they didn't have a matchup early against another school in their region, really. So we ended up slotting Riverland at #7, and there was a debate on whether they would go 6 or 7.
Gotcha. The #4 versus #5 debate is always an interesting one because the top 4 seeds get the first round bye. #4 is Monroe Bronx. #5 is Minnesota West. Why Monroe Bronx #4 and Minnesota West #5, which would mean that Minnesota West will have to play another game to win the title?
Sure. And in our final poll, Minnesota West was 4 and Monroe Bronx was 5. Monroe Bronx ended up jumping Minnesota West ultimately because they won their district tournament, and Minnesota West did not. So that was the determining factor in that 4-5. And that's a great question. It was a tough decision. Minnesota West had a tremendous season. They went 1-0 against Division I, 4-0 against Division II. Their only losses were to Rochester, who was #1 throughout the year, and then Anoka at the end of the year. But we gave the nod to Monroe Bronx because they did win their district, and they had they closed the season very strong. They lost their first 2 Division III games of the season, and then they ran the table, and they look like they're going to be a very strong team in the tournament this year.
Your 3 at-large selections: Rochester, Onondaga, Minnesota West. What set them apart?
Rochester was #1 really for the bulk of the year. Tremendous season. They slipped up at the end of the year. We feel that they're a top 3 team in this tournament still. Minnesota West, same thing. They were in the top 5. They slipped up in the end of the year as well. They lost to Rochester twice, then Anoka. But those were kind of 2 pretty easy ones, in my opinion. Those were givens. It was a very tough decision between Onondaga and then Cedar Valley. Ultimately, I think Onondaga had a stronger resume. They beat Monroe Bronx, who is obviously our #4 seed in the tournament, but they beat them early in the year. They beat Jefferson 3 times. They beat North Country. And I think what really set Onondaga apart was that they beat Niagara, Division II Niagara, who won their district tournament. And they also beat SUNY Sullivan, Division II school that finished runner-up in their district tournament. So the quality of wins was much stronger than Cedar Valley in Texas. They had a great season. They were ranked in our top 15 throughout the year. but they went 1-2 against Mountain View and 3-2 in Division III. And I think there was just a larger body of work against NJCAA schools from Onondaga.
Justin Hoyt, he is the chair of the Division III Women's Basketball Selection Committee. Justin, thank you for the time and the perspective. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I wish all the teams the best of luck.
One final check of the bracket. The games to be played March 15th through 18th at the Rochester Regional Sports Center in Rochester, Minnesota. It all tips off March 15th, noon Central Time. The 8-9 matchup, Prince George's versus Anoka Ramsey. And someone will cut down the net. The championship game March 18th, 5 p.m. Central Time. And you can watch all of the games, including the consolation games, right here on the NJCAA network. Owens, the number 1 overall seed. They are one of the top 4 teams in the tournament. Second year in a row that the reigning champs are the number 1 overall seed. Those top 4, they get first round byes. And then there are 3 at-large selections in the field as well. This field of 12 to see who will win the national championship. That does it for our selection show. We thank you for joining us. For our entire team here at the NJCAA, I'm Phil Constantino. Good luck to all of the participants, and congratulations on reaching the national tournament.